Member for Karama. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can I personally just thank the Chief Minister for that update, and can I say it's highly welcomed. And this is after we've only been in government for 13 weeks, but the legislation was only introduced back in October. And we're already starting to see an impact. And that's really, really good. Yesterday, Madam Speaker, I put a question to the Chief Minister about a related question about how our reducing crime laws were having an effect in a very short time. And she gave a very positive answer. But as part of that question, I was relaying how on Monday morning at 2 a.m, the Domino's pizza shop at Karama was broken into, smashed into. And the perpetrator went in there and they stole 3 FPOS machines. But not only that, they grabbed the fire extinguishers off the wall and they went around and smashed up the internal part of the business premises. This is a small business trying to employ people, trying to get the economy going, and yet here is crime coming in, ruining them. And I saw and met the young store owner that morning because I went to my electorate office and I could see that the police were out there taking photographs of all the damage and so on. And I walked around and I spoke to her. And I said, how's it going? She said, not good. This always happens, Brian. It always happens. It's been happening for years. Nothing seems to stop it. And you could understand that despondency. And her father was there. The father had come to lend her support. And they were telling me about, not only this, but they've got to replace the windows, the insurance costs go up, and it just really makes it hard for business to survive. And in some ways they were saying, this business, this Domino's pizza business, is just subsidising pizzas for everyone because we're not making any money, because all our profits are going out to fix up the damages and so on coming from crime. And I think that is typical of what is happening with a lot of our businesses across the territory. They have been fed up. Their profitability is ruined. Their confidence is down. But having said that, I can tell you, Madam Speaker, after the result of the last election, there was a change in sentiment. They finally thought that we now have a government that is actually going to listen for us and act on our behalf. And it's not only businesses, it's also residents. And I have to say, I'm so proud to be part of this government. This government is so committed to delivering what we went out to the electorate with. And don't be surprised, I'll remind people what we said we were going to do in the week 1 of Parliament. And this was around crime. We were going to stop the revolving door of bail by making all serious violent offenders, with or without a weapon, start with a position of no bail. That we have done. We were going to make breach of bail an offence. That we have done. We were going to make new minimum mandatory sentencing for assaulting a frontline worker, something I'm absolutely passionate about, and I did speak on that sentencing bill. And I did relay the story of my own personal experience and my own son, Fergus, who's a paramedic, and relayed the story where he actually said, Dad, I would prefer to be punched than spat upon. I would prefer to be punched than spat upon. Well, I can tell you here and now, no frontline worker should be punched at all, let alone spat upon. But it's this government. We have stood up. We have put in consequences for such behaviour. Then we also have introduced ramrod legislation. Using a vehicle as a weapon and posting and boasting on social media will be an aggravated offence. Absolutely. And there are so many businesses who have suffered from ramrod legislation, but now they know the perpetrators will face consequences. They will face consequences. And if I go back to the Domino's pizza example, the father said, I hope the perpetrators post and boast, because they knew there is now legislation in place where they would face major consequences if they did. The other part we did is the Chief Minister's talked about. We've given the police powers to fine, charge and arrest for public drinking in non-exempt areas. And we also had lowered the age of criminal responsibility, so offenders don't fall through the cracks and can be sent to meaningful intervention programs to turn their life around. I hear the word shame. We have said this continually. The intention is not to lock up 10-year-olds. It is to get to them early and to help them and get them back on track, not be neglected like the Labor opposition did when they were in government. It's a shame they did this, Madam Speaker, shame. And now, if I can just move on, other examples. I talked about the Karama one, the Malak petrol station. I've also been talking to the managers of those. They have been so affected by continual people walking in, stealing. The staff can't go out and do it because they're worried that they're going to be actually attacked. It's getting to the stage where the company has to make a decision. Do they just put up a small window for all operating hours so people can't come in and out, they just get serviced by a secure window? And they're also thinking of they may have to close the service station down. Now, if you've been to Malak, that's where people go for their convenience food, their milk, their other stuff. It would be a very hard impost on local residents. But we are now getting some action. I know that the police have been out there, they're starting to put security. We have an under-resourced police because the Labor Party ran it down to the ground. This government is right 100% behind our police. We are looking to strengthen our police force, and that'll take time, but we're getting there. And don't forget, we've only been in 13 weeks and some of this legislation's only been introduced back in October. So we are getting movement. I also go back to some of my other local residents, Fuller and Drosso, who have had to actually build fortress houses just to keep crime away. When I go and talk to them, though, they welcome the fact that this government has actually stood up for them, has introduced legislation, and yes, they know it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight, but there's a positive sentiment that we have now turned the corner. We are now for residents, not against them, and we're listening. We're working really hard. That's widespread community support right across, and they see us doing something. Remember Bill from Malak? He got on. He came up publicly on the radio and he said, we need a change of government because they were fed up because of the lack of action or inaction, a lot of inaction from the Labor opposition or government at the time. Bill is now much more confident that we are back on track and we have to deliver. We haven't delivered all yet. We've only just started. We've only started the journey. But have we got our vision in the right direction? Absolutely. Do we know where we're heading? Absolutely. And we're going to push, and we're going to push hard. And it's not the status quo, as the Chief Minister said. This is time to go and do it. And that's exactly what we are doing. I also refer to the Public Housing Forum that I had recently in Malak, and the Minister for Housing came to that. We heard some absolutely horrific details of people there who have been stabbed out around some of the public housing tenancies. And don't forget, in Malak, we had 3 deaths in the space of 5 weeks or so, predominantly domestic violence deaths, which is absolutely tragic. But it just shows you that we need to turn the corner. We need to make consequences. And that's when I go back to what we said in our plan again. We will make immediate changes to tackle crime. That's exactly what we've done. They're only the start, but we're right on track. And the other part was criminals will be shown consequences. And while serving time, taught job-ready skills to stop the endless reoffending. We are absolutely committed to this. And so I once again just say I am privileged to be part of a 17-strong government that absolutely is united, and we have a clear vision. We are going to reduce crime, we're going to rebuild the economy, and we're going to restore our lifestyle. Thank you.